We're already having a good time. I am so happy to bring you the joy that is Dr. Gina Charles. There are only a few reasons why I would interrupt your evening. And one of them is that the biggest obstacle to your goals is believing that you might not be able to pull it off because you're so busy or so much on your plate. The other thing is that you haven't seen anybody do it. You haven't
Right.
seen anybody pull it off. And I
Mhm.
don't want people sitting thinking about good things, good ideas, and thinking, I've never seen it. Maybe I'm over, maybe I can't. So I wanted to bring Dr. Gina Charles here to have a conversation, talk about how she started, how she was thinking, and what she would say now looking back. Okay. So I'm Dr. Tony, board certified physician, certified executive coach. And my job is to help you with work life mastery so you can integrate your ideas into the future that you really deserve. That's the bottom line. So, Dr. Jean, we call her Dr. G, by the way. Dr. G,
Hey, everybody.
hey, welcome. Thank you so much for taking time. You have had so much going on, traveling the world, doing the things. So you taking time to be here is a big deal. Now, I'm going to give them a quick bio, just a little snippet so that they can understand who they are talking to. She is the founder of 3 companies, not one, most notably her boutique in Serenity Aesthetics and Wellness in Philly. Now, she doesn't even live in Philly, but she has a whole wellness spa in Philly. So you should listen up close, whether it's her entrepreneurship, her mentorship in the community, her family. She is always helping other people, uplifting other people. And because she has a passion for makeup, artistry, and photography, her husband and she are working on producing beautiful images for people and memories for people with their photography business. She has multi talents. She's still a physician, y'all. She still has these other responsibilities. And here she is looking good, sharing messages with you. Now, I know she missed it. Did you went to the Bay concert? She has lots of interest. I know she loves
I'm
to.
going.
I know, I already knew. I didn't have to ask, right? When I had a baby, she sent me a message from Guatemala. They're riding some donkey up some mountain. I'm talking, tell them the ages of your children.
Now they're 3 and 7. Last year they were 2 and 6 when we were riding the donkeys.
2 and 6. And when we met, you
We
had
were
how
so
many children?
excited.
When we
Um,
met, how many?
when we met, I just had one, Asha, my daughter. Yes.
And now
Asha
Asha
was
Bonanza,
2. Yeah.
she was a little one, and you were finding that balance, also working as an employed physician. And I
Yes.
want you guys to type in the chat, where are you watching from? Where are you in your journey? Are you an employee? Are you someone with a business? So that we can make sure if you have questions specific to that circumstance, we can help you bridge that gap, the transition. That's what most people need help with. I specialize in that transition to go from where you are to the dream, the vision, to where you want to be. Now, when you first started, you probably were scared as I don't know what to talk to me. What made you do it? What made you?
So
What was it?
when I first started, so I was working as an employed physician, and I was being questioned about some things in terms of, taking off time and whatnot. Mind you, I'm still nursing my child. I have a 1.5-year-old at this point. I'm still traveling, banking PTO, using PTO, and you get questions like, well, who takes PTO in winter? That is a red flag. You should be able to use your PTO whenever you want it. And besides that, just pigeonholing you into certain circumstances within the job. And some of these things did not sit right on my heart. And I remember reaching out to one of my friends, Lauren Powell, and because Lauren and I were, we were along the same journey in terms of completing residency. And she's like, oh, I need you to talk to Dr. Bonnie and Dr. Tony. And I just want to say that was 2018, literally 5 years ago. And that coaching from Dr. Bonnie and Dr. Tony changed the entire trajectory of my career in medicine, the way that I handle myself as a wife, a mom, a business person. It was something that I definitely needed because when I started, I was just in a dark place. I was so confused. I didn't even know what my values were. Let's start from there. I didn't know where my values were. I
Mm.
hadn't outlined what I wanted in a job. I just got a job out of residency and knew that I was working as a doctor. Woohoo.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't until I actually started to do the mindset coaching with Dr. Tony where I started to really carve out these values that I had for myself and my family and what I really wanted things to look like moving forward. Because, by the time I left that job, I believe I left that job and I started coaching like the next week. And do you remember that summer? Like we took the entire summer of just mindset, getting my mind right. And it was worth every penny, every penny. Now
I
that I
appreciate
look back, I was so afraid. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this coaching, but I have receipts, I have social proof. I know that other people who've done it and they thrive from it. And I'm like, you know what, God, I'm just going to put this in your hands and I'm going to jump out on faith. I'm going to do this and see what happens. And I'm so thankful that I did.
I love the ray of light that I get to spend my time with people like this. They're glowing, they're moving, they're joyful, they're gracious, they're giving and they're successful. Now, it's interesting that my younger clients, people who come at the earlier stages of, whoa, I don't know. Dr. Lauren's thing was I wanted to get out of the box. This box of medicine wasn't it for me. These people, I don't know what they're talking about. Your mentors don't make sense, right? But that fear is real. If you're leaving your job, why are you hiring a coach? That doesn't go together. But talk to them a little bit about something that you've done that others might not have done. You invested in yourself before this.
Yes, yes. So as an entrepreneur, I had already had a business coach prior
Mm-hmm.
to, I had a business coach when I was in residency, just trying to expand our bridal makeup and photography business. So I knew that if you find a quality coach, they can take you from point A to point Z, and they can do it in a month's time. The thing is, you have to be coachable.
Oh,
You can't come into these coaching situations like you see other people getting coached and you think that you're going to do as well as them. Not necessarily. Not if you're not open to it. You have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to be challenged, be uncomfortable. Oh, when they put you in certain situations and just make you do things that you normally would not do for yourself,
yeah.
but that gosh, you invested in this. So what you gonna do? Go sit on the couch and not do the homework?
Well, some people actually do, but I also want to point out that when it was time for you to have those types of conversations with your husband, who's remarkable, of course, what else would he be, right? But it was time to have a conversation with him about what are we doing? Because you're already, medicine is kind of a solo project and they're the support team. Now it's time for us as a family unit, right,
Mhm.
to build something together and get on the same page with new information. How was that? Because that the partner thing is different.
Well, that was the kicker. He was like, "What? You want to do what? How much is it?
Mm.
Who else does she call? Let me see some receipts. Come on,
Okay. Fair enough. But you know what? Your husband and I always vibed once
Yes,
I got connected to him. So it's
yes.
interesting to hear that now. I never knew that, but
Initially, these are the questions that he asked, and that was, I want to say that was early May because Asha had just turned 2, so that was early May.
mhm.
By August of 2018, around our anniversary and his birthday, Ade was like, you know what? I'm so glad that you did this. I'm so glad. He saw a difference in the way I was handling things. I was much more mature, even with negotiation of like another job assignment and things like that. Oh, yeah. we weren't just settling for anything, you know, and he saw the way that I was handling business relationships as well, even within our photography and makeup business. So he respected that. And, you know, he's like, Dr. Cochie's all right. Dr. Tony's all right in my book, you know. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
he was
Go ahead.
happy about that question. Mm-hmm.
I remember when I noticed the change. You sent me a picture from date night. You were like, "Oh, just so you know, for accountability, let me show you this photo." And I was like, "Who's this?" You were
Honey, going on dates, doing all the things that we should be doing, that we wanted to do, and not coming home with these laptops and charting until midnight.
you are such a family-oriented person, and he is as well. And you know, he had raised her as the main primary caregiver during the time you were trying to finish school, trying to do certain things and get transitioned into the new jobs and so forth. So he knew what it takes to do certain things. But now you're asking him, so, okay, we want to have another child. We want to have another child, and your plate is pretty full. You seem to have learned so much that you were able to implement it again. You didn't have to come back per se. We to tune up and tell them the value that you got again. Really,
The value that I got again
when
when I
you wanted
changed.
to transition to one child to two, then this business to grow the wellness spa into from an idea into a brick and mortar building.
Yes. So that I went back to coaching. I didn't do an extended coaching, but I knew that see, I'm also that person that doesn't want to stand. I don't like stagnancy. So I don't want to stay in one place too long because I get bored. You know, I know that I want to up level. So I enlisted in Dr. Tony once again, you know, talking about what I wanted. And in terms of value, quality time was top on my list. It wasn't even money was important, but quality time was top because we wanted to have this other child. I needed to have less stress in order to have this other child because
Mm.
advanced maternal age. And you know, we saw the fact that I went through all this weathering and residency and had preterm labor. So we know that I don't want to go that route again. So we definitely had that conversation around that. And I remember talking to you about, you know, what that's going to look like. And I appreciate you telling me about time and time management because I was still saying yes to the organizations and, you know, just saying yes to all the things. And I really had to scale back a bit. And it wasn't until I scaled back from major leadership roles that we were able to, you know, have this baby and, you know, have this pregnancy that went different from the first. So
How
that's
was it
important.
different? How was it different?
So it was different because number one, I demanded what I needed with my employer. This was my second employment position. And I let them know that I could only work a certain amount of days. I think I was only working like 2 days a week. And that was still on a full-time salary,
Mhm.
which, you know, some people are afraid to
Oh,
say,
oh,
you
oh,
know,
oh, wait, stop. Repeat. This is my second client who's coming to me in their first early career job, right in
yeah,
that early stage.
this is like year
This is
three,
the
four.
second client who is like, "Oh, I invested." My husband was like, "I don't know about this," and then immediately, boom, we up leveled you. You're working less and making more.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
That's it.
Yeah. So the amount of days that I was working a week, compared to the job prior to that, and then that salary jump, man, we winning over here. So
Then you got to expand your other businesses. I mean, because you
yes,
had a different
we did.
perspective. Remember how your perspective changed. Originally you were like a worker bee, you know, a workhorse. You were like, I could do it. But the transition I saw, tell them about how it felt when you could kind of not even be at the site of the job. You expanded your mind, you expanded your business.
Yes, it felt freeing, liberating, less stressful. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
know, like and you know, I come from that worker bee family where you always have to be on. So that itself was a bit of a challenge for me, you know, having days off and whatnot. Now I'm like, thank you. Like we just came back from the beach on a Wednesday. On a Wednesday. This is not something that I would be able to do previously.
And also what's scary is I was seeing the photographs that your husband was doing because he's such a great photographer. He's
Yeah.
capturing the moments, and I know you must have felt some type of way when you were not there.
Yeah, so that's interesting that you bring that up. I look back at the photos and whatnot, and he has several videos of he and Asha doing like flashcards and different things like that. And the videos that I have are literally like Asha on my boob, or he has one up on the wall, and it's me laying down charting, and Asha's laying next to me. She's like 9, 10 months, and she's laying next to me, like, you know, just waiting for me to complete charting so that I can have time with her. And after leaving that job, I said, I don't want to have to do that again. You know, when I come home, I want to come home and just not have to worry about charting. I want to be present, even if, you know, sometimes we're present, but we're still on our phone. But I don't want to be charting until midnight. And I told myself I wasn't going to do that again. And I've stuck to that word.
I remember I did a let me pop it up here because it's still here from the last time. By the way, if you have any questions, you want to get with me, I'm actually about to go on vacation because my boss is great. She lets me do what she wants, you know, whatever she wants to do. But inbox me if you want to talk. I will find a way to get you on my schedule. This is my private community. You better believe I'm going to make it happen for you.
Yes,
But
y'all, please get on her schedule.
It's
She will
work.
change some things for you.
Even on the call, because really clarity and honesty amongst people who are already in it with you, understand what it looks like. This is what I meant when I met you. You were this nice person. You wanted to be the helper. You wanted to be the lover, not a fighter.
Like,
And
what's wrong with me?
we were raised by folks who, you know, this is how we do things. This is how it's done. And if they were successful, we were successful, and then we didn't enjoy it. So when you said, oh my goodness, I want to stop saying yes, I also know we had a tough time with no. We were working on some of the things that you had to start saying no. Can you give them a little bit of a window into that?
Yeah. So, with regards to saying no, as physicians, as entrepreneurs, as high functioning women, we get a lot of requests. We get requests to be on this stage, to be on this podcast, to be on this, you know, interview, this panel, this, that. And it looks great to be on all of these stages and podcasts and everything. So you can say, oh, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. That wears you out. And half of the time I was looking back and I'm like, you know, half the time I could have just been spending with my kids or just chilling, just relaxing, because we don't get as much time to relax. You know, everyone's so big on self-care, self-care. Are you really taking care of yourself? Are you saying yes to all of these people who want your time? So
Anybody, wait, pause.
Mhm.
Anybody who is remembering you know, how it felt when they made the mistake. You said yes, and as soon as it came out your mouth, you're like, ooh,
Gosh, I've done that quite a few times.
immediately.
Quite a few times.
You were good about accountability though. And people don't know what accountability really is. With you and I, it was very much me just doing the work in the beginning with you, the difficult conversations, the difficult going home to your husband saying, okay, we got this homework, you know, but it made your life after that crystal clear because all we did was say, but if I want this customized plan for me, myself, then these aren't even decisions. It is what it is. This is what I'm going to do.
Exactly. And I think I think holding me accountable also inspired me, because now with like my employees, my mentees, my husband, you know, I'm holding others accountable. You know, we talked about this. This is what you want for your future. What are you doing? Did you do X, Y, and Z? You know, I'm not harping down their throat, but I'm just reminding them, like, hey, I'm here. Have you done X, Y, and Z? How's that going for you? You know,
Mhm,
just
mhm.
subtly holding them accountable, because I think that's important. People always talk about where they want to be, but if you don't have somebody to, hold you accountable, ask you these questions, give you these prompts and things like that, you may be spinning on that hamster wheel for the next 5 years, not going anywhere.
You mean the one they're running on right now, and that's why they might not watch this live? And we're saying this. Listen, it's never a good time. I'm just pointing this out. Look, I got this boot. I'm here because Dr. G is the truth. But for real, this is some self-care in a boot, because I said, you know what? It's always the right time to spread good news. It's never convenient. Please tell them the truth. It's not convenient to spend the time and dig in, but the results are exponentially life-changing.
Absolutely. I can attest to that. Seriously.
It's funny how the husbands, are always like my cheerleader in a way, because the result that they wanted was you. They already loved you. He was already your number one fan. But when you start being absent, when you start telling him this long list of things to do and adding pages to your resume and all, he's like, that ain't what I signed up for, lady.
Right. There has to be some give and take, and you can't always be, taking all these opportunities. You have to give too. So that's important. You can work for your man.
It's called clarity. If we were to tell somebody who's confused, stressed, like you were, basically, overthinking. You have some friends who I know you probably have tried to get to come talk to me, and they don't. What would you say?
What haven't I said?
They're overthinking. They don't want to ask for help.
They're overthinking. They don't want to ask for help. And I'm like, okay, so it's been 3 years since I've told you about my experience with Dr. Tony, or it's been 5 years since I told you about my experience with Dr. Tony. I'm not going to BS you. I don't want you to waste your money with just anybody. But you see the way that my life looked in 2018. Yeah. You heard me crying on the phone with you. And now look at me. Like, it's not all a bed of roses, but sis, it's 99% better than what it was in 2018. So why are you not taking this opportunity to just talk to her? See how she can change your life? Because clearly 5 years later, you're still on the same hamster wheel.
One of my rock star, just digging.
Yes, supportive husbands.
Yes, grateful for supportive husbands. Thank you for sharing your story. If there's questions, this is the time. She is more of
this is the time. And I'm an open book.
It's an open book. And I'm concerned that they don't, in the coaching world, I'm concerned that people they're like, oh, but she's fabulous. I don't think I can do it. Can you talk to them about doing things even when you're not ready?
Doing things when you're not ready. Let me tell you, in July, we found this space, and it was just a waiting room and a treatment room. And we were talking, and we were like, it's not a storefront. It's not glamorous. It doesn't have the chandelier. And we were like, you know what, Dr. Tony especially, she was like, you know what, just do it. Just do it. Sign. It don't have to look pretty right now. Just start. And I think that was the best advice, because imagine if I was waiting for that storefront and that chandelier. Guess what? I went to see the storefront last week.
Bam! Whoa!
5 years later, imagine sitting waiting for a storefront. Just start.
COVID was nowhere in. And look what happened with COVID. You were already launched and successful.
Yes. And I was like, perfectionist. Everything has to be perfect. Everything has to look pretty, especially it has to look pretty for the gram. This has to be pretty here. This has to be pretty. Just sign on the line. Start getting your clients in the door. We don't have time. We don't have time to stunt for the gram right now. We are running a business. We are trying to make women look good and feel good. That is more important than stunting on the gram.
I was speaking over your life. One of the other benefits that comes to mind when I talk to people like you is that you're always loving on other people. But I remember how you would blush a little when I would say, oh, you're the CEO, mom. And she's like, what? Me? I'm like, I see you as this, I'm affirming you. I'm seeing you as I know you will be in 5 years, in 6 years. I'm seeing you as the mom of two. I'm believing in your dream and your vision, but you got to make sure it's tight so that when you fall down or get stressed, people like myself can say, nah, it's clear as day. Let's get back on the horse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would call you CEO mom, and you were like, I don't know.
And then 3 years later, what happened? See, 4 years later, CEO mom hit me up, right? To
The
be in their
magazine.
magazine, to be in their magazine as a CEO mom.
That's it. That's
Like
it.
there are so many things that you spoke into my life that y'all, like we have this list that we go through with Dr. Tony in terms of 5 year and 10 year. And I know that I'm a checkbox type of person, but there's always wiggle room and things like that. And somehow some of the things that Dr. Tony has mentioned, like CEO mom, I couldn't see it back then in 2018. I could not see it. And I didn't reach out to that magazine. They reached out to me, CEO Mom magazine. And then some of the other things on the 5 year and 10 year have happened. And I'm just like, oh my God.
I just spoke at Lauren's conference. Let's be clear. The person who told you to come to me, I
Yes,
literally just spoke to Dr. Lauren's conference for women to
yes,
do better and take care of mothers in medicine. So these things didn't exist. You guys were in school, in training, dreaming, and they are all now reality. Community is what is missing for many people. You're capable. Your ideas are great. Your implementation is even off the ground, but it's a lonely ass road, baby.
Oh my God, it's lonely. It can be so lonely at times. And I'm thankful for the different friends. We have our little groups, our accountability partners, but the different friends who are going through a similar journey or something. Sometimes they're not even an entrepreneur, but they're going through a similar journey that you can talk. That's important. Sometimes you don't even know the person. Have these people I've met on the internet. Like I have yet to meet you in person. Here we are. Look, my community, some of the people who I talk to like on a weekly basis are from the internet, and
That's it.
so I get so much value in our conversation. There's always something to learn.
That's it.
And I think we're all students. We can all learn from each other.
Yes.
So in
I'm,
these conversations and when we have like one-on-ones and things like that, there's always something to pull from each other. So
I'm going to say that many people come to me after they are burnt to a crisp. They let the job drag them down. They're overcommitting. You got all these volunteer things you're doing and people you're mentoring. You're overcommitted. So you come to me and you're completely burnt out to the 12th power. And I want to make sure that I give you guys a resource. It's one thing to hear from us and you're excited for 5 seconds and then you don't implement anything. So I want to give you guys a free training, burnoutmakeover.com. You don't have to even put the rest. It'll come up. But burnoutmakeover.com it's a free workshop because I'm telling people the same things over and over. And I want you guys at 10 at night, when you get a minute to yourself, to start implementing the things that will change the trajectory of your life the way it did for Dr. G.
head over, y'all. Copy and
Right
paste.
now. Right now, or you can pay me 5 figures, your choice. No, I mean, I'm saying get started. If we leave them with one message, it's to get started. It's to take take the step towards your what would you say? Step towards
I would
the
say
future 5 year, 10-year you.
your 5 year you, your 10 year you, your freedom, your liberation. Because wherever you are right now, you're questioning it. You're like, how can I get to this point? You need the help. You need somebody that's going to help you get to that next point. We don't have all the answers. And that's why I say you have to be open-minded and open to this coaching. She's not gonna help you, and all of our roles are different. So I love a coach who can speak from different aspects and encourage us to go a certain way based on what we're doing right now. Not everyone is going to be the mom entrepreneur wife. Some people are just trying to get out of this raggedy old hospital and get into locums or something like that.
Right. And I was low. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that I've lived the life that they think they want. And so I can also shortcut your journey because I used to work in corporate. I used to work in banking. I used to work as
Yeah.
locums. I used to negotiate contracts for a living. These things are skills that I didn't understand the value of them until I started seeing how women were thinking, asking me questions. I was like, that's the wrong question.
Right. Helping us with interviews, helping us with negotiating the bag. Even when they call you for that, what is it when they want you to come in, like hazard pay, whatever. No,
No.
to get me out of my bed, this is my fee. Come on. You know
I
you
have
need
a client. I have a client who, she didn't necessarily believe, but she also was in that bad situation of the job that was like intolerable. I spoke it over her life. I said, okay, well, I plan on helping you double your rate. And she was struggling to get them to pay her below market. I just want people to understand that once you start implementing, you have people coming to you, the right people. You don't have to deal with riffraff and you're confident about it. Dr. Lauren's a great example on her live stream. Y'all should go back and watch it. She was like, it didn't feel right in my spirit after I started to sign the contract. So I said no. She was pregnant. She had no job. She was like, it doesn't matter. She was so confident in where she was going. Coaching is clutch. You better believe it. Because once you are committed to the vision you told me, no uncertain terms we're going to do, you start to attract the opportunities that seemed out of reach. That's really what I've seen over and over.
I believe that.
Look at your crew. Look at your friend circle that I know and have coached. Y'all are the top 5%, period. And that's including men, sorry. It is, but you're all beautiful. You're all the helpers in the world. So it's my job to help the helper, keep you from burning out, keep you from devaluing the brand, baby. Please tell these women that they're all a brand.
You are all a brand, honey. Honey, we just need to refine it. Refine it and don't devalue. Mm-mm.
Don't
Mm-mm.
devalue. When you think about mistakes, what's the fatal mistake of the people who didn't? What are you seeing now? That 5 years went by. You did what you were going to do and implemented and got busy and took off. Your whole family benefited from it, period. You're spending more time with all of them than you ever could, ever would. Even your extended family, your mother, and it's just exponential. What about the people who watched you do it and it's 5 years later? What's the consequence? What's the real price they pay when they don't move?
They're still on the first floor of the elevator and they're yelling from the first floor and complaining. And I remember we had a whole lesson about the elevator and complaining and not sitting and listening to it for too long, because that's feeding all that negative energy into you.
That's it.
And I wish that those people would have invested in quality coaching.
You can want it, but you got to work for it. But I basically will say that you're at the penthouse. You may
Yes.
still, right, you're in the penthouse. You can always sell it and get a bigger, better one in a different neighborhood, different city. But the value of the life you've created, the view is inspiring from where you are. When you want to take a break, you don't even have to rent an Airbnb because where you are is so lush. Everything, the chandelier is there now. You're living the life that seemed out of reach. So I just want to encourage other women these are people who were literally making like $30,000-$40,000 a year, grinding in the medical industry, trying to get trained. They had no guarantees. They had no proof, except they knew that they couldn't stay there. Don't be this person who waits until it gets so bad, because the energy it takes to do this job, to lift yourself manually in the elevator, is excruciating.
It is.
You're in the penthouse now. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for caring enough when you have all these other things you could be doing in the evening with your family. I think it's important that we thank you for reaching back, because if you don't, it just sounds like I'm just hyping folks up and telling. No, all of you have a completely different set of skills now. And you also have no limits on where you're going to go now, whether it's real estate investing. I mean, you guys are you're just expanding and growing and applying the knowledge that we had to your initial wish and dream to all the other areas of your life.
It's an excellent foundation.
That's it. It's foundational work. And guess what that means? We might have to blow up that raggedy little building, that little shack. We might have to blow it up to get the good land and the good earth underneath. That's the work you do with me. And I never sugarcoat that, because we're going to rip out some roots of things that were planted in you that weren't true. We're going to rip out the roots and demolish and blow up things that are the old you telling you can't. That is not something that is always fun, but the person next to you, if you're coaching with me, they're doing the same thing. And there's people steps ahead of you, like Dr. G, who are going to tell you, keep going. It's worth it. That's all I can say.
Eat all the ugly tears, the snot, the ugly tears. It's worth it. Just keep going.
Keep going. I'm so proud of you. Is there anything else that you want to say before we go?
Y'all, it's never going to be perfect. It's still not perfect. Start implementing today and you'll see the rewards.
Amen. Reach out if you want to get in touch with me. I'm Dr. Tony. I am mainly an executive coach, but in the end, really I am is this life strategist who hears all these things and makes it a neat plan so that you can get going with support and with accountability. Without all those things, we tend to stall out. We tend to get lost. We tend to get discouraged, and that is not your legacy. I'm looking at legacy right here, and you're not even getting started barely. I can't wait to see the space. I can't wait to come to Philly and see it for myself. So we will be meeting sooner than you think.
Amen. Speaking into existence.
It's a done deal. I just did.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. If you have questions, you can leave them. We'll come back and answer them later. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.